This is what I would like my future to look like. Is there a timeline that I met that goal? And hey, future self, how do you got there? Can you please give me tips and tricks that I can take actions right here, right now, that it can help me get there?
Thank you for coming. Thank you for staying. I'm here to share with you the beautiful transmissions from the walls of my cavernous heart and to witness the great frequency shift that we are moving into as a collective and the beautiful deep work that we are doing as we glide into the age of Aquarius. This is the Liminal Frequencies podcast. Let's go. Welcome to the future. Actually, that's impossible because time isn't real, but it's an interesting and incredible observation of our own timelines as we move from season to season and we move into new energy. I have noticed in the Pacific Northwest, everything feels like it is speeding up and people are just trying to get all of the fun in. I think having it be so gorgeous here during such a short window of time makes people kind of manic and they just want to enjoy as much as they possibly can. And so I'm noticing this in the paradigm that we have of time, how we move into this apex of the summertime, the solstice, where the days are really long and we no longer need as much rest. We're springing out of bed early to experience life and experience the landscapes that we live within. And so I thought this would be a good dialogue of understanding time. When we were in ancient Egypt, we used sundials to measure time. And after the sun went down, we were out of time. And even in older societies, the zodiac sign going into Capricorn season and into December, we would stop measuring time and we'd be out of time until they rang the bells in March in Aries season, and it was the new year. And so now that we have access to clocks, that was actually popularized by the Catholic Church and the industrial era. And so we started talking about time as if it was something that we had and that we were wasting time. And to me, this is just total BS because we know that we don't actually own time, that it's a resource that we can receive as we move through life, but that it's this strange concept. And so as we move through our current timeline and we move through manifestation, I want to introduce to you my friend Carol. And Carol is an incredible healer in the Akashic Records, a teacher, a business coach. I've had the pleasure of working with her, and it was quite incredible. She is a holistic concierge, a sacred strategist for emotional, energetic, and entrepreneurial healing. Whether you're moving through deep personal work or building a purpose-led business, she can help you reconnect to your truth and create lasting transformation from the inside out. So we're going to dive in with Carol and talk more about how we move through these different timelines and how here on Earth we are going through the process of returning home to ourselves, returning home to the earth. And that brings us into this exploration of Dreamtime. And Dreamtime comes from the Aboriginal people and how we are not in the present, past, or future, but we're co-creating everything in this present moment. And I'd love to reflect that more with you at the end of the episode. But put on your 3D glasses and get into your Delorean because we're going to traverse some timelines. Thank you so much for joining us, Carol. I'm so happy to have you.
It's an honor to be here. Thank you for the invite.
Yes. So I know you from the Akashic Records groups, and we've worked together a few times and it's been really expansive. And you have your own unique flavor of how you work with the energy and the shamanic healing. And so I want to hear more about your journey towards that field of the Akashic Records.
Beautiful. Yes. So everything started by me being curious and following the breadcrumbs. One thing led to another thing. My first thing that I learned it was to be an empath. And the second thing I learned it was I was a healer. Then I met this lady that she was offering Akashic Records. And I was like, what's that? And I got so fascinated with it. And then I met Amy, which I did level one, level two, and level three, because I just fall in love. It's like the energy of the Akash and the energy of the Akashic Records is just beautiful and fascinating. And it started by reading for myself and gathering information and then helping others with getting them information. And then I fall in love, Jillian, with the healer edition. Like doing healings about past life regression, let's go to the future, or those looping loops that we know and do not know. So it was just fascinating and beautiful.
Yeah, and we've had a couple of people, a couple of actual colleagues from the Sacred Awakening program on the podcast. I want to get your take on how do you explain this to people? What is this?
Okay, so the Akash is a room, right? It is in the fifth dimension. And in this beautiful location, there is people that see it as a library, right? And it's where the books of life is. And the book of life, what it records is all your deeds, everything about you in the moment of ascension, right? So you have all your thoughts, you have in there all your actions, all your choices, everything it's being recorded. So for me, it's a beautiful location that you can go and have a self discovery of who you are.
Hmm, I love it. I love that place. I love to visit the places where we can connect with different parts of ourselves. And for me, my experience has been there's something physical, usually emotional, that is manifesting in my body. And I go into the Akash and it's so clear. It just takes the veil away and you can understand, oh, I need to have a conversation or there's something that I haven't processed yet that I need to feel right now.
I love that because, like, one time I know I went to sleep with no pain. And then I wake up and I'm feeling this pain in my hips. And I was like, what is this? So, like you, I went to the Akashic record and I started asking questions. Well, I learned that it was a past life and I was an American Indian and I have an arrow going through my hip in the back, and that's what's causing the pain. So it was just ready to be honored, to be healed, and to reclaim the parts and aspect of myself that it was left in that time. So I love that you bring that up.
Yes. And I had so many more stories when I first started. I had pain in my neck and it was I think they said you were trying to push a 500-pound ball up a hill. So Sisyphus? Maybe I was Sisyphus. And I believe I had so many stories unravel from my being that I was holding on to. And now it's not the same. I don't have as many stories to perch because sometimes things are just on a different frequency and it's just that you need to tap into that specific vibration and attune to that frequency and it helps something to release.
Yeah, I think as we do in the healing, we're letting go of all those layers that does not serve ourselves. But the thing that it's been calling me the most is about timelines, right? So, like when you're in a crossroad with the timeline and seeing which one serves your highest good, or even looking at parallel life. because we are multidimensional beings and we have parallel lives. So you can also look instead of past life, those lives that they're working at the same time, or even when you're in a crossroad and you would like to look at the timelines. But yeah, the I think when we started, you can have more of those stories, especially the unhealed parts of us, right? That
Yes.
when we are carrying the weight, when we're carrying the trauma, or something horrible happened to us.
Yeah, and a lot of rewiring happens that we can then step more into the present moment. I want to hear more about these timelines, and are they future timelines? Are they connecting to the future timelines? Yeah.
So, yes. So, the timelines, you can look at past life timelines, right? You can look at those parallel life and you can look at future timelines. And it's interesting to notice now that you have the collective in timelines, you have yourself as a different timeline that sometimes, depending on where you're at in your journey, it's completely different from the collective. And even on the family level and dynamic, you can see even how they're operating in different timelines. Let me give you the example of my family. So, myself, my husband, and my child. And when I go to the records and I see our timelines, I can see my husband being just a slightly behind on my timeline. And I can see him going more up closer and closer and being like a funnel that each of our timeline are running parallel. And then I see my child here in this sign that is not in between, that is not running in us. It is just fascinating to look at the timeline. So when we talk about timelines, we need to look at them as an individual and also as a unit where you have your soul family and how they interact and how do they look like. And then you can look at the collective perspective.
Wow. And it all weaves together. There's an interesting visual I got from the records where if you took some chalk or a string and you made a spiral on the ground, you can pick it up in any place and that will show you where your past, present, and future is, but that it's not linear in a way that it can never be pulled straight. It's like an intestine, it's all coiled up. And so we can find the past, present, and future in any way in those timelines, but depending on where we start. But in a way, in light, right, the speed of light is very, very, very fast. And so stars are billions of years old, right? And if you think about light beings that are in the Akashic records that are sharing that information with us, they don't necessarily align with our specific sense of timeline, but it all unfolds in this non-linear way where you could even say there is no past life, there is no future life. It's just all woven together in this web of happening.
Yeah, 100%. And it depends on your level of consciousness, right? Because depending on where you're at, you see that everything is happening all at the same time. That, as you mentioned, there is no past, there is no future. It's all happening at the same time. But when we're talking about the basic, right, with those people, they're still in a timeline, they're still in a time space, then it's easier for them to explain it in a more basic way. But yeah, 100%, there is no time, there's no limit, especially we create those contrasts here in Earth.
Yeah. Now, here in this timeline, which is the 3rd of December, as we record this, I've been experiencing winter here where the days are so much shorter and time is just flying. I wake up in the morning and then there's only an hour before the sun sets. And I am just like, whoa, how did this happen? And then even just sitting at home and working on things and things just keep passing, just an hour, another hour. So it's interesting how we have this concept of time and we're holding that in the 3 dimensions, but actually I don't believe that that's how it is behaving. And I think there is some kind of quickening with the energy.
So there's a few things in there, and this is my experience, right? Of how I have been navigating a little bit of the time that has passed since Lionsgate. So as a collective, we had a major shift in timeline in November. And if you're intuitive and you're sensitive, you probably notice that we had a big shift. But also, what it was coming as you were sharing is when we are in our passion, when we are doing what we love and make us happy, then time just fly by. So there is not that sense of time and space because we are just enjoying our things that we are doing with passion, happiness, and bliss.
Hmm. Exactly. That expression, time flies when you're having fun, is true.
It is true.
I love it. Is there anything else that you want to share about those timelines or any stories anecdotally about how people have experienced that in your work together?
I think a term that people are more familiar is jumping timelines. Oh,
Hmm.
I jump a timeline, right? One of the biggest indication of it is you don't know what time is it. You don't know what day it is. Sometimes you're like ahead of time. Like let's say today is Tuesday and you feel that it's like Thursday or Friday. That's a good indication that you have jumped a timeline. Or if you feel a little bit of the just like a switch. I don't know. It's kind of subtle, but you also feel it that there is like a shift, like something changed. And it can be from you as an individual, or it can be in a collective perspective. Because let's be honest, we all one and we are all connected. And at the same time, yes, you have your own path and your own bubble, but you feel those sensation and those shifts. So what I have noticed the most is people talking about a jump timeline or not fully understanding that, wait a minute, today is Thursday or Tuesday, but it's like in the sense that they have shifted in energy perspective.
And I wonder how that also affects our experience of psychic readings and having somebody look at the future. And then we jump timelines and we're not even on that timeline anymore. I've experienced that where I had this idea of what was going to happen in the future and the ideal timeline for me. And then it totally changed.
So yes, and I have a really unique opinion about this because I have never be curious about how the future is going to look like, how the future self of me is going to look like, because I feel really strongly that your future is built right here, right now. I feel like the magic happens in your right now. Your actions, your choices that you have, right? It's going to be creating that future. So it depends on your alignment, right? What's have you set your wish? Have you set your goals? What how do you want to feel, look like that future? And with your actions, with your steps right here, right now, is that helping for that future? So I honestly, and I'm getting out of the vibration, I honestly like I'm not fully interested in understanding my future. If I do, it's more about okay, this is what I would like my future to look like. Is there a timeline that I met that goal? And hey, future self, how do you got there? Can you please give me tips and tricks that I can take actions right here, right now, that it can help me get there? Does that make
Yes.
sense?
Yeah, so we can communicate in the Akashic Records or otherwise with our future self on the timeline where we want to access.
Because like I remember one time I saw myself and I was standing not in a crossroad, and it was 5 rows, right? And it was like 5 rows that I can choose from. And I was like, oh my God, right? And then the human rational self, your ego, it was like, how about if I choose wrong? But like which
Yes.
one? And then it was like, it does not matter the road, right? If you align yourself with your highest potential, if you align yourself with your highest path, timeline, that it's what you want to co create, then just co create it right here, right now, and trust, do the healing, and take the step that it will take you there.
It's about the journey, right? It's the most important thing.
I think so.
Yes. So I saw on your bio that you work with intention.
Yes. I believe intention is the most powerful practice that you can do.
Hmm.
Because if you have an intent, and of course, if you're coming from a place of love, if you're coming from a place that it's for serving, that's all you need.
Yes.
And I set intention in the mornings. I set intentions at night. The when I do something before doing it, I state this is my intention, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because like you just need to intend that you are grounded and you trust and believe and you are grounded and connected with Mother Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the visualization, yes, the imagine, sense, and knowing will get you through experience in your reality that you are grounded and connected. But if you just intend it from an open heart, it's already done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's important to know how to trust the flow of energy in your reality that you can create what you want to and you can manifest it.
Yes. Now, trust is a journey in itself
Yeah.
because we were designed, we have the notion, we have the programming of if you don't work hard, you're not going to be able to make it. If you don't put 100% all the effort, then you're not going to make it. And would you believe me that when I'm resting, it's where I'm flowing and receiving more than if I am constantly in the taking action, 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 action. If you want to put it in vibration, it is more about being in my feminine energy versus being in my masculine energy.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's all about regaining that trust in yourself and regaining that trust in the universe that actually has your best intention and the universe has your back, right? Now, sometimes what we call negative and challenge, we don't see it as an opportunity to grow and an opportunity to learn from it. But guess what? That negative thing, that challenge that it was placed in front of you, it was for your highest good
Mm-hmm.
because you're going to learn from it, you're going to grow from it. And when it's in, you're going to be even stronger and standing in your power.
It's a really great practice to see everything that happens in your life as a choice. And I could be wrong that we didn't choose our parents. We didn't choose all of the experiences and the illnesses that we have and all the challenges. But even if I'm wrong, you still get to keep the gifts that you've experienced, that you've harvested from the struggles and how something in your soul was choosing to alchemize, to transmute, to grow something within you.
If you want to believe it or not, you co created everything,
Yeah.
the good, the bad, the light, the dark, right? However, you want to call that.
Yeah.
But I define it more about we choose our experience.
Mm-hmm.
And we keep choosing our experience every day by our thoughts, by our actions, what we're telling ourselves and what we're telling others. That co creates your reality.
Yeah. I love it.
Now, It takes a little bit of healing in your journey. It takes a little bit of discovery to come to peace with that, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're still in that victim mentality, that everything happens for you, right? Like it's against you
Yeah.
versus like, no, let's look at this with a different lens. What's the message? What's the learning? How can I grow from it?
Yeah. And how do you believe that people can bridge that gap?
Doing the work,
Yeah.
there is no shortcut. There is no speed up. It's all about doing the work. In, but
Like
I
taking your
like
power back, finding where you lost your power in this dimension or other dimension, and being able to take your power back. Mm, some people challenge more than others with it. I find some people in my life, they don't really want to get better. They want to hold on to the thing that, the discomfort, the thing that isn't going well, and so that it's theirs.
well, there is a different dynamic in there, right? Because it can be the dynamic of fear. I don't know anything else. I don't, and so I feel comfortable feeling in this space because I know what to expect, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there is also the part of people feeling empowered, that people feeling pity for them. Like they have created this reality that they feel good by being in that position.
Yeah. Although I can't imagine it does feel good. It's a what we're conditioned to do, and like there's things like there's some people that they can't work and they're on disability, and it creates this sort of negative feedback loop where they know that they have to be a certain level of disabled and disempowered in order to receive the assistance that you have to work really hard to get to that point where you can receive that, and the going through all the red tape and everything.
Well, this can be a complicated topic because we're talking about a system that enables that behavior, that pattern, that loop, right? The and there is a lot of system that needs upgrade, that needs to be crippling down because they're not serving us as a collective.
Mm-hmm.
So that is another podcast that we can spend hours and
Yes, I would love
hours
to.
talking about all the different systems that are not serving our highest good.
It feels like we're right now in this shedding of those systems. And I'm sure we will be when the podcast airs as well. But I'm curious if there's patterns you notice coming up with this, with people, with what they're shedding.
Yes, I have seen a lot of patterns of victimhood. I have seen it a lot in the posts and social media
Mm-hmm.
about people victimizing themselves. So that's one pattern I have seen. We are continuing this pattern of you and then, me and them, and this
Yeah.
separation between us,
Yeah.
which I was like so frustrated at the collective. And it was like, it's not us and them.
Yes.
It's why this separation? We are one. Like, let's bring this unity. Let's work in community versus like being like this.
Yeah. Yeah, this might also be for another show, but looking into the earth and how I believe there's a lot of different energies that came into this earth to manifest in this life form, in this present reality. And so the distortions that existed elsewhere off planet came into this reality and caused us to essentially be at war with ourselves and our own nature, because we know on some level we're not really here, we're not really supposed to be here, and how we fight the earth and how we think we're dirty, right, when we just have earth on us.
Well, there's different feelings with them. Some people see Earth as a person, like I was sent here to because I commuted something, right? I feel also
Oh.
the fall of Lemurian, the fall of Atlantis, the fall of Egypt has created a lot of distortion
Hmm.
in the energy of the earth, right? So we feel abandonment. We feel that we don't belong in here. But when you create a relationship with Earth, Gaia, Mother Earth, everything shifts. It is you start feeling that Earth is more home. You start feeling that she
Hmm.
just loves us unconditionally and she is here to serve us. But you're not giving yourself permission to get to know her, work with her, and see her as home.
Yes. And yeah, I've heard people say they didn't believe there were star beings, they believed they were from here. And I've heard other people that just really feel this discomfort here. And knowing that, right, we chose to be here, we chose to work on this mission here and to create paradise and to create a sense of belonging. And that's something interesting that the Akashic Records took me into was I got out of a relationship. It was a heavy emotional time. You know, everything from feeling belonging with the friends that were our friends to feeling home, in this person's home, feeling family, feeling like I had somebody to spend holidays with. And this took me into this past life. And this past life was my very first past life that I remember in Arcturia. And this sense of family. And I believe he was part of that family as well. And just being able to come back there and to see the moments where I had to leave on a mission to the Pleiades, where I had to remove myself from this lifetime and from this paradise essentially, and that I never actually went back. And so, lifetime after lifetime, I've been looking for home and looking for home, and that this feeling, this heartbreak, brought me into the alchemy to like re experience what it was actually like to be there and understand that woundedness around it, and understand also that I'm here now and I have a fuller understanding of where I come from, what my mission is. And so I'm most definitely finding a lot more belonging here in this three-dimensional reality on this planet.
I feel you. I went through the process too. I was like, I don't belong here. Why am here? And especially growing up being so different, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because since I was little, I can feel and see spirits.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody that is around me is not talking about that, and they're putting spirits, ghosts as a bad thing, right? And I'm
Yeah.
here sensing them, seeing them, so I'm weird. I'm different.
Yeah.
So I do understand about having, and I feel that it is a core healing for all of us, right? That sense of abandonment, that sense of belonging, that sense of this is not home, I see it as a core healing that we must, and I'm putting that in quotation because we choose, right? Heal.
Yes. I love it. I definitely want that for everybody. I just had the most incredible experiences in the last 2 years, kind of on and off, but with finding my soul tribe and finding my family, and then finding distortions, of course, but then finding more soul tribe and having these beautiful dreams where I just was in the flow of life and I was just making ceremony, playing music, and being with nature, and how that contrasted from other experiences that I've had where I'm like, I'm different. Like, I think it is normal to see spirits, and that's one reason that I have this podcast is because I want people to just be out there and experience that this is normal, and we all see each other, right? And we're all in this just beautiful human experiment together, but that you actually do belong here,
And it's just the discomfort that we've come into with awakening, where a lot of distortions have kept us from really being able to embrace that spiritual gift that we have.
I only have an advice for you. If you're going to be doing this journey, number one, get curious, right?
Yeah.
Because not everything that you learn it needs to be relearned.
Mm-hmm.
And have fun because sometimes we can be so serious and not giving ourselves permission to experience and having the human experience that truly can be amazing. Like
Yeah.
truly, heaven can be here in earth, right? And then use discernment
Yeah.
because there's a lot of misinformation. There is a lot of spirits that doesn't have our highest good. So it's important that if it's not feel right, trust it that it's not right.
Yeah. Do you ever ask your guides for jokes?
Oh my goodness, they're hilarious. They are funny. And like for example, I was with a friend and they were talking about protection and that she needed to upgrade her protection. They named the tool that for protection Florida Man.
Do you live in Florida?
So she is in Florida, but do you know all the news that
Yeah.
something crazy happened? It was a Florida man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like they just call it a Florida man. They have a sense of humor that sometimes I'm like, really, like necessary?
I just got into Agua de Florida.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's just such an intoxicating, beautiful blend of herbs and flowers that you put on your crown chakra and you blow it on across your heart chakra, and it helps. I've been using that in between clients to help me clear my energy and among other techniques, but it feels like it is nice to have something outside of you physically that you can like apply to your body and be like, okay, I've been cleared.
Yep. The I co-created a tool that is called Protection Up. So like
Mm.
in between clients or before going out, I just say run protection up. And it just automatic puts me in a beautiful bubble of protection.
And this is a program that you created in the ether, right?
I created it in the ether, but with the help of the master teachers and loved one in the Akash. So I was like, okay, sometimes I'm not going to have the time to fully ground, clear, and protect. I need something that it can be quick and easy, that I can just say a word and it will run for me in the background. And I will trust, I
Mm.
will believe it, and I co-created it. It's called Protection Up. It was with a spirit, and we created in the Akash, and I attuned empath with it because sometimes, let's be honest, we are in a 3D world. We need to be rushing. If you have kids, between taking the sport in school, right, or
Yeah.
going to the store, or if you are in a spiritual business and you have client back to back to back to back because you didn't give yourself
Yeah.
that gap, then it's kind of difficult to go in a meditative state for 15-30 minutes for you to ground, clear, and protect, right? So I just set the intention protection up and it just runs for me and it ground me and clears me and puts me in a beautiful bubble of protection.
Awesome. I also came up with a spiritual software. It's a sound journey for clearing the external influences, right, of our data. So creating a protection bubble for all of our data and all of our information. So yeah, I love that. It's important to utilize our imagination creating the reality that we are experiencing and allow it to work for us.
100%. But
Spirituality is the best app.
it starts in your mind.
Mm-hmm. Do you have anything else that you want to share about listeners, how they can connect to this journey, how they can connect to their liminal frequencies and connect to their guides?
Well, the first thing I want you to know is you are not crazy. What you are feeling, experience, and whatever it is that you are going through, you are not crazy.
Yeah.
This is real.
Yeah.
Yes, you are hearing. Yes, you are seeing. Yes, you are feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to don't tell yourself you're crazy because you're not.
Yeah.
The discernment is important. So be careful what you read, who you allow in your energy, and follow the breadcrumbs. Spirit will guide you if you open to it, but it will
Mm.
be with little breadcrumbs. So if you want
Mm-hmm.
a reference, you can imagine that they were dropping the breadcrumbs little by little so they can come back home.
Yeah.
The same things the universe does. It will
Yeah.
give you a little piece, get curious, and it will give you the other little piece, get curious. But don't forget to have fun because
Yeah.
this is not so serious. We are here to feel happy. We are here to find our bliss and our passion, and it is possible.
Yeah. I even had a client on antipsychotic medication, and I realized they were living on tribal land, and the spirits were communicating them with them in their house. And I thought, I think this is part of the journey that you're receiving this information.
Yes.
Well, I love this talk. It was incredible. Would love to talk again. I'm going to put some links if you want to share some links in the episode notes, and just if there's anything else that you want to share or any offerings, freebies that you have with the group.
Yes, I will be sharing all the links. So please look at the description with the podcast. You can find me in all the avenues, right? In YouTube and Instagram, Facebook. I have my website. I am co-owner of Love, Healing, and More. So it's Love, Healing, and More in .com.
Beautiful. Thanks for the chat. Thanks for continuing to anchor your bright light.
Thank you for having me. It was an honor.
So grateful to Carol for sharing her wisdom and beauty with us and her perspective. Now, if you want to know the secrets to the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Now, this expression by Nikola Tesla has been something that I have used for people to describe my practice and how I can work with the physical body and promote healing in the body and support the person's process through also illuminating the unconscious, the unseen waves, the emotional, the spiritual, the existential. And so in Dreamtime, which is the Aborigines' understanding of creation of the world was sung into existence. Every rock, every tree, and every animal has its own song. And the song became a blueprint or a map, and it became song lines. And this is how the Westerners came to Australia, and they would get lost, but the Aborigines would take people through these beautiful desert landscapes, and they would do so by connecting with the song of the area. We have typically thought of time as linear, as being this straight line, but actually time is a living, breathing map, according to the Aborigine. And dream time is the full spectrum of creation from the moment the ancestors sung the landscapes into existence, into this present moment. And so, as it is all encompassing, everything that has ever happened is still happening in this moment. And so, if you can drop into this concept, which is blowing my mind, that we are so connected right here, right now, with all that is and all that ever was, because it is happening in this incredible cosmic matrix of time, then we can really feel into the five dimensionality of our being and we can see how we can try and simplify things in our understanding and try and monetize it and categorize it to make it marketable and to make it more palatable. But in actuality, there is this incredible flow of energy through the matrix of your body, of your world, of your universe. And how incredible that we can come together and reflect on this with people like Carol and people that really believe in the power of the universe and the body and Mother Nature. And so as we move into this time, and we talked about shifts, and so many shifts have happened too since our incredible interview back in December, but now I feel that we're just moving even closer to this dream time. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will look forward to seeing you next season. Sending you lots of love.